Welcome to Back into the Future with Mark and Carol. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the day you're listening to this. Whatever that is, it's the future. It's now. It's Mark. And with me as always is my wife, Carol. How you doing today, Carol?
Hey, what's up?
Not much, been a good week here. It's the day you're listening to this. Whatever year you're listening to this. And we thought about, we're off for the summer, as you guys know, so we're just doing whatever. We thought about doing I think it's called Back in Time or something like that, for the movie that we're going to do today. But I didn't feel like doing research on it, so we have been watching, plus we kind of want to introduce our daughter as our daughter. We've been watching the Friday the 13th, nope. Well, yes, we've been watching the Friday the 13th movies, but we've also been watching the Nightmare on Elm Street movies with our daughter and our son. And we have finally finished the in-canon, like, from the continuity of 1 to 6, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, we watched. I guess next up would be the new Nightmare if they want to watch that, but that's obviously not part of the same series.
So all the clicking and clacking you're hearing is the many, many necklaces and are you wearing bracelets too, or is it just your necklaces?
No. She's just festooned with stuff she makes.
Crazy. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. This is not an ASMR podcast. But with us here is Bella from Bella's Corner. How are you, Bella?
I'm good. Pretty good, you know.
Excellent. Yeah. So we watched Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. What did you think of Freddy being dead?
Okay. You mean the movie or him actually being dead?
The movie.
Oh, okay. Well, it sucked. It was the worst Friday.
It was the worst Friday the 13th. The worst Friday you've ever experienced.
I mean, yeah, it was the worst Nightmare on Elm Street movie I have ever watched. Do not recommend. Now,
she hasn't seen Freddy or Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and she hasn't seen the remake, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I think the remake is, I don't know if I'd say the remake's worse. It's hard because the remake is literally a remake of the original movie, and the original movie's good, but they do everything worse.
I haven't seen the remake either, and I want to. I'm curious.
It's not good. You won't like it.
I hear that. I need to see it though.
But speaking of not good, this movie starts out with a Wizard of Oz parody. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul too.
I think that gives you the flavor of what you're in for.
Yeah, that you're in for shit. The only thing I like about it is so I guess a little background on this movie. This movie was directed by Rachel Talalay, and Michael DeLuca wrote the screenplay. A lot of these are all like people that were there at the beginning of New Line Cinema. As a lot of you probably know, they call New Line Cinema the house that Freddy built because Nightmare on Elm Street was the first feature film that New Line Cinema made. Later, of course, they would make the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, and they would make the Lord of the Rings movies. And Robert Shea would make a ton of money from the Lord of the Rings movies. They won a fucking Oscar. The same company that put out Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, won an Oscar for Return of the King for Best Picture. But, so everyone knew this was going to be the last one they made, at least, in this continuity. And they all came together, all these people, like from the beginning of New Line Cinema, came together to kind of like, they like, it feels like it's like they just wanted to have fun backstage, but unfortunately, none of that fun is translated to the screen.
Yeah.
There is one thing that I think is interesting about this. It's an interesting idea to me that we are looking at Springwood, Ohio, and like all the teenagers have been killed.
Yeah, that was a funny scene with Roseanne and
Tom Arnold. They were married at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like all the adults that are there have gone like crazy and shit like that, and they all know that Freddy's real, and it's almost like Freddy's trapped in the town, and it's almost like they're all trapped in the town too, I guess. I don't know why.
Fucked up situation.
Why is Freddy trapped in Springwood, Ohio?
Is he, or is he choosing to stay there for revenge?
No, he literally is trapped there. There's one point where he sends the last kid like out, like he throws him out of Springwood, Ohio, and he's like, go get more kids for me, bitch, or whatever. Like, and but he's there. The only time he gets out is in the brain of his daughter, in the head of his daughter.
Yeah, that was weird too.
Well, I think he just can't exit the dream world without a living vessel. I don't think that he's trapped in Springwood, Ohio.
No, he's literally trapped in Springwood, Ohio because he wants the guy to bring his daughter so that he can use his daughter to leave Springwood, Ohio and find more kids. He literally says that.
Huh.
But he can only travel.
Does he say it that clearly? Because I don't remember ever feeling like I really understood what was going on when I was watching this movie. But he just made it sound so simple.
He said it clearly, like he was like, I wasn't keeping you alive because I was just keeping you alive enough for you to bring my daughter, bitch. Like, how did that guy think he was Freddy's son? Because, first of all, and like, we're all supposed to think like that might be Freddy's son or whatever. I never got that impression. We see the flashbacks. That's clearly a little girl, for one. And two, maybe we're supposed to know that it's not, that he's wrong, I guess, or whatever. But two, he's not the right age.
Yeah, that's true. She's much older than them.
Yeah, like he's not the right age to be Freddy's kid. That doesn't make any sense.
Huh. But I'm sure that he doesn't know Freddy's history to be able to figure that out. So.
He's from Springwood, Ohio. You would think he would know.
I mean, he's dumb, though, so, like, what can you expect?
Yeah, he gets killed by falling to his death or whatever.
Now, I saw this movie in 1991 in the theater.
Yeah.
And I was only 9 years old. This is actually the last movie I saw with my dad. But I knew it was garbage, even at 9.
Yeah.
But 3D was such an exciting thing at that time.
Oh, God, yeah.
And so that kind of made it for me. Like, I wish that when we rented it from Amazon, that we could somehow get the 3D
So we could get the 3D for the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, that
was
bullshit, too.
They were so cheap, they could only afford to do the 3D filming for the last 20 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
Freddy Vision.
Yeah, I remember being really disappointed about that, too, in the theater. Like, what the hell?
It's so weird. Like, it's weird to think about how much of a cultural phenomenon Freddy Krueger was for a long time. Like, they had the little shitty plastic gloves, the Halloween gloves that you could wear. But he was, like, everywhere, too. Freddy was on an episode of Saturday Night Live. Like, he would do commercials and stuff like that. Like, now you've got Freddy power or whatever, And like, he had a TV show. I don't know if you're aware of this. I think it was called Freddy's Nightmares or something like that.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
Freddy's Nightmares?
Yeah, something like that. It was like a TV show. It was like sort of like a Tales from the Crypt style TV show where Freddy was like the host.
Huh.
I didn't really think Freddy could dream.
Yeah.
I don't know that he can.
Then why is it called Freddy's Nightmares?
Yeah, Freddy's Nightmares, 1988, two seasons.
I'm assuming this was on cable. Because I certainly didn't hear it. I feel like if it were on regular television, I would have been watching that.
Well, it was in syndication, so I'm not sure where it aired, but, New Line Cinema and Lorimar Telepictures produced it. But it was, 2 seasons, 44 episodes in total. With the exception of the pilot and the first season's 7th episode, Sister's Keeper, all of the episodes carried 2 separate storylines. The first half hour would be devoted to one story, while the last half hour would be devoted to a second story.
I feel like we should watch one of these.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind watching one.
100%.
It's like, from my memory, it's like a Tales from the Crypt / Twilight Zone kind of thing. So here's the pilot. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Freddy Krueger has slain many children and teenagers and is currently on the loose. But after a police officer catches...
Oh, no.
But after a police officer catches Freddy trying to kill his daughters, Freddy is arrested. During the trial, the judge unfortunately discovers Freddy was never read his rights, so the judgment must let him go, but it does not end there.
It's Freddy's one fear, guys. The cops.
Yeah, that is funny. That's a thing from the audio commentary the Red Letter Media did of the original one. That's so funny to me. Because the Mike Stoklos's impression is very funny, but he's like, just don't involve the cops, bitch. I'm scared of them. It's a Miserable Life is episode 2. A fast food employee hates his life, but when someone robs the restaurant, his life gets a little more interesting. Meanwhile, his girlfriend, played by Laura Park Lincoln, I don't know if you guys know, but Laura Park Lincoln was in a Friday the 13th movie. I'm pretty sure she was the psychic one, the telekinetic teenager.
Okay.
Is tormented by hospital staff after she was shot.
Huh.
Yeah, that's Tina, the psychic one.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's one of those, like I said, and like Freddy hosts it or whatever. I think if I remember correctly, in the first episode when he gets arrested and shit like that and stuff, like he is sentenced to hosting the show.
That's funny.
But so interesting idea for a show. But it's weird to me that this guy was, like you said, you watched it when you were 9. I'm 2 years older than you, but I was certainly aware of him like since the beginning, since '84. But through the '80s and early '90s, he was like not like Santa Claus necessarily, but like he was a pop culture figure like that, where he was on lunchboxes, he was on. He did commercials and stuff. Like, Freddy was just out there. Mm-hmm. Much more than Jason was, even though I liked the Friday the 13th movies more. Jason never quite became the cultural icon, and it's because Freddy had a personality.
True, but, like, what about Michael Myers? I mean, I feel like he was also out there. Like, all three of them were...
He was out there a little bit, too, but not... there was something different about Freddy. Like I said, Freddy could appear on Saturday Night Live and stuff like that.
He's much more entertaining. And I think the movies are more entertaining. I mean, like, the appeal of Friday the 13th is, like, the slasher gore. The appeal of Nightmare on Elm Street is, like, there's some of it's comedy with Freddy, or, like, the gruesomeness, but it's, like, it's not the same as a slasher. It's inventive.
Well, yeah, the difference between Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th is the Nightmare on Elm Street movies have... Even the bad ones, with maybe the exception of this last one that we saw, have craft to them. Like, they're like, a lot of times they turn into like director showcases and stuff like that, where it's like they're good practical effects, like interesting scenarios and kills. I think they use the dreamlike scenarios really well a lot of the times. And Friday the 13th is just like, it's the complete opposite. It's just dumb. It's just dumb, like brutal, like killing. That's it.
So, speaking of dumb and brutal killing, Bella, what was your favorite kill of this movie?
Oh, interesting.
Okay,
we don't get a ton of kills in this movie.
We really don't.
I don't really remember, like, a bunch of the kills, but my favorite kind of scene where Freddy tried to kill someone was definitely when he got thrown out of the dream world and got hit by a train.
Oh yeah, by the bus, at the beginning of the movie.
It was awesome.
That beginning is the only one, sans the weird Wizard of Oz parody thing. That beginning is the only time I think we feel any actual tension in the movie at all. But I'll remind you of the kills. So the kills were Deaf Kid gets the ear thing, and everything, and then
so gross.
His head explodes because he hears too much, I guess. Yeah. Then there's the video game kid. That's Brecken Meyer, the stoner. Goes into the video game and gets stabbed to death, basically, at the end. The girl... Does the girl die? I don't remember.
I don't think so. I think
she doesn't die.
Blonde girl doesn't die. The John Doe kid dies. He dies because he cuts the parachute thing and like falls to his death or whatever. Lands on a bunch of spikes and he gets, and then in the real world he's all spiked.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are the only deaths in the movie. Which of those do you think is your favorite?
Okay. I do kind of like the be like me, you know?
Oh, the video game thing, yeah.
That was pretty cool.
What about you?
I mean, favorites
the
or
power glove thing?
Worst. Would I guess I don't have a favorite, but I think the hardest to watch was the deaf kid.
Yeah.
The deaf kid one is my favorite one because I think that's the best practical effects is that stuff. That's the most inventive one. The rest of them are all kind of like this movie feels lazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like doesn't he kind of die the same way as Freddy when both of their heads explode?
I guess like Freddy gets a pipe bomb put into a hole in him, and then
Yeah.
And the final line of the entire series, like I said, sans. I consider New Nightmare like its own separate thing from the Nightmare on Elm Street series. It's part of it, but I consider it because it's so meta and everything. It's like a precursor to Scream. I consider it its own separate thing. So besides that, and besides the remake, the last thing set in continuity in a Friday the 13th movie is Freddy's Dead, delivered by an actress that can't act.
Oh my God, she was the worst.
And she's Catherine Kruger. She's like our star of the movie too.
Every line she delivered was like deadpan.
Oh, completely flat. Yeah, she's just like, "Help me, Yaphet Kotto, help me." And Yaphet Kotto's like, "That's not my character's name in this movie." Well, what's your character's name? No one will remember Yaphet Kotto.
That is true. That's the guy from
the black
older...
guy.
Yeah, I know who that is. I don't remember his name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no one remembers his name. But he knew the dream demons. He's like, "Oh, this is supposed to be dream demons. Supposedly they find the worst person in the world, like a child murderer or whatever that's been burned to death, and they make him like whatever. They give him domain over the dream world."
Do you think that he's friends with the dream demons? Like, he just knows all this because he has, like, coffee with them in his dreams?
Maybe, I don't know. He did say he could control his dreams. The dream demons are like, "Yeah, what's going on, Yaphet Kotto? We don't know your name either."
The dream people, it's so stupid, too. I mean, like, what a dumb... Like, why have we not heard about this the rest of the series?
Yeah, they're not... The Nightmare on Elm Street is not good with continuity at all.
No.
But I hate hearing Freddy say, "The dream people, they're the ones that gave me this job." It's so jarring and weird.
Yes.
That's not the type of line Freddy should be delivering.
Definitely.
Let me give you exposition. The only time they handle Freddy doing exposition with any grace at all is in the very beginning of Freddy vs. Jason, which they have seen, where he does the opening narration, which is basically just him explaining things. But it's so funny because I went and saw that movie in the theater in 2003 or whenever it came out with a friend of mine, and my friend was like, "Hey, can you explain to me like Nightmare on Elm Street? I don't know like anything about that movie. I know Friday the 13th. I know the story of Jason and everything, the drowning and stuff. I've seen those movies. I don't know anything about Nightmare on Elm Street though." And I was like, "Okay." So I explained everything, like child murderer, burned to death, dreams, all this stuff and everything. And what I explained to him was almost word for word the fucking narration. Like, he turned to me at some point during the opening narration. He was like, "Did you write this fucking movie? Like, what the hell?" It was weird because not exactly word for word, but there were phrases that were exact that I used. But I mean, it's because I'd seen all the movies and I was like basing it on stuff they say and things that happen in the movies, which is how they wrote the opening narration. But that's the only time I've ever seen them handle Freddy delivering lines that aren't just like, trailer lines. And it goes well.
Did you like Freddy versus Jason?
I mean, I kind of liked it. It was kind of boring because it's just this one burnt guy fighting this guy who can't even talk.
With mental problems.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think I liked Freddy versus Jason more than most of either one of their movies.
I think Freddy vs. Jason was good. Like, I know that movie had a lot of problems. I know Ronnie Yu directed that movie, has a lot of problems himself. I thought it was good. I think they did as good of a job as they could with that concept, especially at that time. Everyone wanted them to make that movie in 1993 or whatever, and they didn't because of the rights issues. It didn't come out till, like I said, like 2003 or whatever. I think it would have been better received in 1993, but there's some things that I think that they could have done better. But for the most part, I thought it was a pretty entertaining movie. I think it would have been better if the stoner character that gets killed by the snake or whatever, and the character that gets his head twisted around in the corn maze, if that had been Jay and Silent Bob like they wanted it to be.
Although that would have been funny.
Am I supposed to say something?
Well, what do you want to say about Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare? Because that's what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, sorry, I derailed us.
As you can know, we all derailed it because no one wants to talk about this shitty movie.
Okay, well, I have a couple words to say.
Yeah.
It was awful.
But why, specifically?
Why? Okay, well...
What do you think the movie failed to do?
Can I just say what it felt like?
Mm-hmm.
Felt like if a college student went into a dark basement with no lights on and just in like the middle of the night and started writing stuff down. That's kind of what it felt like.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I think it's hard to talk about this movie because I think it fails on so many levels. Like, just on a basic script level, it fails. Mm-hmm. There are so many things that... There are ideas here.
Sure. Yeah, it seems like the rough draft, but they just went ahead and made it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, there are definitely ideas here. That the idea that the town is like this haunted, like destroyed town, I think is a good idea, but they don't really do much or to develop that or do anything with it. Like, they go into the town and they have that one funny scene at the fair where there are only adults and it's like sad and everything. And the rest of the movie, they're in a house and then in dreams in the house, like in this one set. And it's like they don't develop that idea enough to make it interesting. But yeah, like this movie, like I said, fails on a script level. Like the writing of it and everything, it fails there. It fails on a direction level. I mean, nothing against Rachel Talalay. I don't think she did anything after this, really. But it's not well directed. Not really, anyway. There's, like I said, there's a couple interesting practical effects, and that's about it. The acting-wise, outside of Robert Englund, who is doing his damnedest to carry the film as Freddy, who is always fantastic. But outside of him, there's no great acting here. Even Breckin Meyer, who will, later go on to have an actual career as an actor, unlike the rest of these people, is not great in the movie.
Yeah. Remind me, Breckin Meyer.
He was in Clueless.
Yeah, that's okay.
Later, he's in Clueless as the skater kid.
He is also in The Good Girls.
The Good Girls?
Not The Good Girls, Good Girls.
He's in Rat Race. I don't know. Is he in Good Girls? I don't know.
Yeah, he's the one who's like in charge of the pyramid scheme, like gets all the dads
together. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yes, he's in yes, that's correct.
Good Girls is an amazing show too.
In a later season of that. Yeah.
Throwing that out there.
Good Girls is a show that you can watch in about 7 years.
Wait, okay.
When you're 18.
Who is
She was doing math.
Meyer?
Breckin Meyer was the video game kid.
Oh.
The one that gets, no, I'm playing with power,
The high guy.
Yeah. The high guy. Hi, I'm High Guy. I would have forgiven the movie of all of its flaws if at the end of the movie, like during the credits, Breckenmeyer shows up and like 80s sitcom style, like puts his foot up on a chair, and leans on his knee and says, "Hey, we've had a lot of fun here with Freddy, but it's no joke. Marijuana." Just delivered an anti-drug message right over the credits.
That would have been hilarious. Yeah, they were making fun of a commercial in this movie, Bella, that we used to see a lot on TV. Have we already told you you're like nodding?
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
And just a scrambled egg?
Well, they'd break an egg and they'd start frying it. Like, this is your brain. Then they break it and start frying it. This is your brain on drugs. And then I think that might have been the first one. Any questions?
Yeah,
then there's another one where the girl's like, and this is what it does to your family. And just, like, takes the pan and starts, like, beating the shit out of things and breaking stuff. This is what it does to your family. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember who was in the first one. It might not even been, like, a famous actor or whatever. In this movie, it's Johnny Depp. They get Johnny Depp to come back to slum it in a fucking 6th Nightmare on Elm Street
Very
movie.
good of him.
so they can just, have a little continuity, I guess, or whatever. But he does not turn into a blood volcano in this one. But they have him do that commercial, the Any Questions commercial. The one you're talking about, I want to say, is Rachel Lee Cook, maybe? Does it? Where she's like, and this is what it does to you. And she fucking goes nuts. That came later. That's probably like a late 90s version, I think, of that commercial.
The 80s one was more chill.
Yeah, the 80s one was just like, don't do drugs. Say no, like Nancy.
With no reason not to.
Like Nancy Reagan says to. We used to get candy at Halloween. And like the little like sample size candies, right? And it'd be like lemon heads or something like that, like a tiny little box of lemon heads. And you'd open it up, and on the underneath of the thing, it would say, "Just say no."
Yeah, "Just say no" is a very big slogan.
Dare, don't do drugs.
Yeah, dare is what drugs are really evil. What does dare stand for? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But I know they used to come talk to us. They don't have dare anymore.
I thought that they were going to do a dare program at my school because I saw a lady in a dare shirt, and then they just started talking to us about mental health, and I was like disappointed.
You wanted to learn about drugs. You know what though? The program kind of failed because they literally
the entire war on drugs failed. Yeah,
but I mean, like they made it sound kind of fun. They educated. Because they educated us about all the different kinds of drugs and what they do. And, like, they didn't do a great job of telling you the bad stuff.
Right.
It was like, oh, that sounds like I kind of want to try that one,
Don't do cocaine. It makes you feel fucking amazing.
Don't take LSDs. It makes you see rainbows.
Right.
Drug Abuse Resistance Education.
Oh.
That's what DARE stands for. But it wasn't very good, just like Freddy's Dead, the final one.
It sucks so bad.
Thanks for sitting through it with us, though.
Yeah.
Memories.
Best thing about the movie is it's 90 minutes long.
Right.
I almost fell asleep in those 90 minutes of how awful it was.
The next one is New Nightmare, which is better
I don't like it
than this movie, but I don't like it either. There are a lot of people that really like that movie, and I don't know why.
I guess it's a decent movie, but it just it kind of feels off, and it's a little boring.
It's boring to me, and I like the third act is terrible. Like the form that they have.
I feel like we talked about it.
We did it for the show.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we watched it for the show.
Yeah, so I mean, you guys can go back and listen to that if you want to hear it.
Yeah, go back to 1994 when it came out. It was like fucking I don't know, the 6th episode we did or something like that. It's not good.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is the episode for the week. Carol, tell people where they can find their own dream demons.
So you can write us at latefee1994@aol.com.
Yep.
Check out our website at www.retrolatefee.com and share the tapes with your friends.
All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.